Hello and welcome to the Pigcast. I'm Kit, your host and co-founder of GigPig. I'd like to welcome onto the show Jemma Tanswell, one of the co-founders of Reform Radio. Welcome to the Pigcast.
Thank you for having me.
Today you're officially going to become a DJ.
Oh.
Can we bring out the decks, please? Do you DJ?
No.
You don't?
I should, but I don't. Me and Rachel every year say we're going to learn how to DJ because we've got so many DJs here and we never do. One day.
Yeah, I'm sure you can be forgiven. There's a lot of things on your plate, I guess. First, we're going to create a DJ name for you. Have you got
I love this already.
a DJ name alter ego ready to go?
God, no. Jemma.
Jemma.
That's terrible, isn't it? I take
like
it back. I take that one back. My family call me Gem Pot, like Jam Pot, so maybe DJ Jam Pot.
DJ Jam Pot. Yeah, we'll go with that. We're going to pick a genre out of this bag for you. This is a genre of music that you are going to be known for.
God. Okay. Oh, I'm going to be known for R&B.
Nice. Are you into R&B?
A little bit. I'm a little bit into everything.
Are you?
I don't like to box myself in.
So you starting your DJ career as DJ Gem Pot, an R&B DJ. You know, where do you start? Obviously, Reform provides huge opportunities and courses and radio shows and that support network. What sort of support could Reform offer an artist like DJ Gem Pot?
Well, funnily enough, they might not be able to offer it to me because I have a full-time job. But if you are 19 plus and out of work and live in Greater Manchester, we have a DJ course. It's 2 weeks long and you come in with no skills, and by the end of it you do a 15-minute set. And it's to the public, but it's also to promoters, and GigPig come along as well and support us to show people how to make profiles on their kind of press kits and kind of look for work post-project as well. And we also have a talent development program as well called Sound Camp. So that's maybe for someone a bit further down the line with their experience. And there's a bit of a boot camp that starts off 2 weeks. And then there's 8 selected to go through to a 12-month mentorship. And we have artists such as kind of Worker, Jenna G. We've had Jack from Cooper T. We've got Lay Full Stop. So for us, it's really important that we very much link in with the industry that are kind of relevant to the industry because it changes so quickly, and ensure that those are the people giving that kind of support to the young artists coming through.
That sounds amazing. And just to sort of hone in on that, actually, not many people know that actually Reform was where sort of gave me my first sort of steps in sort of the Manchester scene. I came from like a collective called Bad Fun, which we'd arrived in Manchester probably about 11 years ago now, I think it must have been. I mean, that's insane that it's been that long, but a friend of mine, John Joe and Harry, we had a show on Reform, and, you know, it gave us that sort of springboard to get into the community, sort of build up that network and sort of find our voice as artists as well. So like the work that you do is obviously so incredibly powerful, taking people on that journey and offering that advice. So can speak very sort of passionately about the work that you do, and actually played probably like a massive key role into me going on to create GigPig with my co-founders.
Well, what's nice about Reform now is kind of, we are 11 years on. And so we're starting to have that time distance from people that have started doing something with us. And now the kind of where they're at with the career 10 years later, it's really lovely because we're starting to actually see some of the results as well as hear about those initial conversations, those initial jobs and things like that. The success stories, people become our peers. We're working alongside people that have come through programs, and obviously we're working together. So yeah, it's such a lovely thing to hear back.
Yeah, and I think we are really lucky with the sort of community in Manchester, especially the creator community, is so supportive, and people help each other out. And I think that's a sort of real sort of testament to the city and like the culture of what Manchester's about. So obviously GigPig is a free platform for artists to find, play and get paid for doing what they love. Yeah. So once they've gone through that nurture period, they've perhaps got their sound, they know who they are as an artist, they've got that SoundCloud or the Mixcloud, you know, they've got that Instagram profile, and actually they're taking music a bit more seriously.
Yeah.
You know, they know that they perhaps want to monetize doing what they love. That's probably the space that we're in that can then support artists in finding those paid opportunities as well alongside. So there is sort of avenues out there to support artists, which can often feel quite fragmented.
Yes,
I think
definitely.
there's a lot of fragmentation of like where,
A mystery.
how you monetize doing what you love.
Yeah, and that link between the industry and a kind of creative program, I think that's where we work really well together. And what you guys have been brilliant at is taking them through step by steps, because sometimes with access or just not knowing where to start or getting motivated to get things completed, sometimes you guys coming in and getting them over that hurdle a little bit, you know. And obviously, just to outline for GigPig as well, that obviously it's a site for exactly people who are ready to get paid to perform as well. So for us, it's very much about knowing how to do that, but how then we set it live versus how we kind of know those skills for when they're ready to go into work as well. And it's understanding that for them, so that it's not setting them up for a fall either, that they're not quite ready.
Yeah, I think that setting up for a fall is like a massive piece. I think, you know, obviously we've done a panel, you did the Skiddle panel. I think Danny's obviously a huge, big voice on that, and the reality of how harsh the industry can be. Mm-hmm. And you've got to take it seriously, I think, you know. But actually the benefit being that there is opportunities out there. You can make a really good career in the space that we're in, which we're proud to be in, which is sort of bars, restaurants, clubs, pubs, you know, that sort of pre-grassroots where people can make a really good living as a gigging musician. Yeah. And of course, everyone wants to make it into the 0.001% at the top of the pyramid, but actually along the way, you can massively upskill yourself with getting involved in projects and different creating outlets, I think. So there's a lot going on in the city.
There's so much work out there that, you know, I think the problem we used to have is young people saying, I want to be a musician. And we immediately think about the media and what are these kind of talent shows and things like that, where it's one or the other. But there's so many jobs, DIY jobs, in terms of like branding, social media, A&R, you know, making music as a living, facilitating music that keeps you within the industry. And sometimes you have to have a diverse set of skills, but I do think you can stay within the creative industries and have a healthy living.
Well, that's the thing. And I think surrounding yourself with like-minded people, often the path that you thought you were going to go down as a creative, you know, my path was quite a varied one. Like I was in bands my whole life, was obviously quite taken with the nightlife scene and like clubbing, and found obviously electronic music, but trained as an actor and just sort of surrounded myself with creatives. And actually the path that I saw myself going down was like as an artist. But actually the more that became a reality, I realised I wasn't A, probably good enough, and B, like, it wasn't what I wanted, which was actually really hard to go through. Like the path that I thought I was going to go down was not a path for me. And it took me probably the best part of like 6 to 8 years to really get myself out of this, like, what am I going to do? Yeah. I know I want to be involved in music somehow, but I didn't know how that looked for me.
And I think that's the mystery still, isn't it? It's not knowing how to access those careers.
Yeah. Well, I saw a great post on LinkedIn the other day, actually, and it was about a creator who works for like a big music tech platform. And they were saying, like, whatever role you're hiring for in your business, consider someone from the events or creative industries, because they will work harder than any other employee you've ever employed. They think outside the box. They get stuff done. You know, they like come with fresh ideas. And I think that's so true. Like, the best people that I've ever been fortunate enough to work with have come from a creative industry and just naturally sort of absorb they absorb everything and they learn quickly and they just want to be involved, and, you know, so it's I think it's just such an exciting place to be.
There's so many skills to transfer out as well into other roles and things, like being dynamic, problem solving, you know, using creativity as a tool to do that. I think that's what people missell about the creative industry, is that it has to be this thing or it's nothing at all.
Yeah. And I think as well how people consume, it's transient, the space anyway, you know, roles pop up, there's new roles being created, the roles sort of changing as AI adapts, how people consume music is changing.
Yeah.
But I do think we're going into this incredible stage of music where control is going to go back into the hands of the creators, and how that looks and how they monetize that is yet to be seen. The way that music is consumed generally in terms of streaming, the move from physical sales, there's actually a spike of a trend that we're seeing across the trade of direct to fan, and people being able to monetize through their fan bases. So, you know, like when we were growing up, you'd probably know every band or release that was going on.
Yeah.
Because you'd have like the top 50 or whatever.
Yeah.
And we'd buy physical. But the way that music's consumed now, that you can appear to be in a tribe where you think you're all a fan of the biggest band in the world when actually no one else has heard of them because of the way that people stream music.
Yeah.
But actually, I think with the tools that are now being provided in affordable ways for people to create, that there's avenues for people to go outside those mainstream outlets, such as Spotify, perhaps, and monetize through their already engaged fan bases. So whether that's selling direct or, you know, various different ways. But I think it's a really exciting stage of people being able to take back a bit more control, perhaps, from the majors.
Yeah.
They're not as needed in terms of that nurture process.
Yeah.
Whereas
and social media as well.
Well, exactly. Like, you know, to be an artist previously, you know, now you've got to be a social media expert, an FD, you've got to be a salesperson, you've got to be all these different avenues or different skill sets. It's not good enough just being amazing on your instrument or shit hot on the decks. You know, like, you're gonna have to learn so many more skills to break through. But within that, you're upskilling yourself to actually take back that control. Whereas the majors previously, you know, you'd have a marketing team, you'd have all this like support in that nurture stage, when actually there's great outlets and great support networks that are accessible and free to you. Yeah.
And also, I think there's a little bit of kind of trial and error and figuring stuff out. So there's not just one path anymore either, is there? There's like so many different paths. And I think that's where there's loads of opportunity, loads more challenges to get heard and seen, but loads of opportunity as well. And Danny Farhay from £30 Gentleman, who is the main delivery partner with us on Soundcamp, he actually runs a project, what do you want to call it? A workshop within our programme, and he does elsewhere, called DIY or Die, because that's kind of the messaging to artists now. It's like, you know, you need to be able to, and also move with the changes. You know, we're seeing with record labels now loads of redundancies within roles. That's a reflection on the artist taking back control because they're not as needed. So yeah, we're definitely in a new kind of place with the music industry. But as you said, it's transient, and it'll look different again in 5 years' time, you know, and again in 10 years' time.
Well, it's a creative space. It's an innovative space. It always has been. And actually, we should embrace the change. I think with change comes a lot of good.
Oh, yes. Crisp sandwich. I used to work in a juice bar, and I think it was like 6 weeks, they used to change the special sandwich. And I was convinced that if they put a crisp sandwich on, it would sell out. But they wouldn't do it. But honestly,
did they not do it?
No, they didn't do it.
So we never know.
Yeah, loads of butter.
I love crisp sandwiches.
Salt and vinegar crisps. Yeah. Personally, for a sandwich. Yeah.
Roast chicken.
Some crisps.
Yeah.
Oh, out there for me, that.
Yeah, I mean, I've literally got crisp problems.
Yeah, me too.
Really
I'd
bad.
take crisps over chocolate at any stage. Sometimes if I have a chocolate, I have to wash it down with a crisp.
That's hilarious. So Seed Music. So Seed Music is a name we've coined, I think, which was from a study that we did called the Live Music Index, which was basically mapping out the stage of music pre-grassroots. So prior to any sort of ticketed grassroots venues, where artists tend to sort of cut their teeth or where they can monetize. So actually what came out of the study was there's the biggest volume of gigs being played in the UK is actually within the club, restaurant, pub, bar, hospitality space.
Yeah.
So seed music pre-grassroots was a name that we coined for that stage of the pyramid, if you like, of the music industry, and where artists can obviously make a very good
seed as well, grassroots.
Seed. Exactly.
Gig.
Pig. GigPig.
I just couldn't help but think of GigPig.
GigPig. Pig.
Where did GigPig come from?
So,
do you get asked this all the time?
Yeah, there's been a couple of lies about where it sort of came from. Our CEO Mick, our co-founder, he's come up with like a new elaborate story of where it came from, but really it was just his mate actually came up with the name. He's like, why don't you call it GigPig? And it started to be a really memorable name. But then actually we met a musician down in London recently, and he was telling us, he was like, oh, I know exactly why you called it GigPig. So I was like, great, can't wait to hear this, because we don't have a clue. And essentially he said that there's 3 types of gig, right? So there's a shig, which is a shit paid gig. There's a gig, which is just like a standard gig.
Yeah.
And then there's a pig, which is like really well paid gig. So it's a gig pig.
Oh.
And he was like, I know why you called it that. And I was like,
God.
that's way better.
I mean, I would definitely put that in
Mick's
the
mate
about
said
us.
Gig Pig. Yeah. So yeah. So it's Gig Pig. Yeah.
But it was just a play on words from his mate.
It was a play on words. I think they went through, we went through a number of different names, and then Gig Pig just sort of stuck.
Yeah.
And it was the one that we all remembered.
And
it actually has a bit of a Marmite effect. It took me a while, if I'm being honest, to embrace it.
Yeah.
As much.
I really like it.
But now, I'm really, I love the name now.
Sometimes it's like the name disappears, doesn't it? And just the saying of it, the brand takes over, and that's where it's at now, isn't it? You don't even think about the word.
Yeah.
You just think of it as the brand GigPig.
Yeah.
The Beatles. I've always had a good affiliation with the Beatles. We've got a strong Liverpool connection. We've now got our first Scousers in the family, officially born and bred. So my sister went to uni there, and she met her husband at uni. He's actually from Carlisle, and now they've settled there. And I love Liverpool. I worked there for a couple of years, and they have the Beatles Festival over Bank Holiday every year, which is really amazing.
Nice.
But yeah, we've got our first little Scousers, and my brother-in-law's a big Man United fan, and he held him up a Man United shirt in an Everton shirt. He just said he couldn't be Liverpool, and he picked the Everton shirt, and then he started school, and he said, "Daddy, I'm a Liverpool fan." So now we've also got our first Liverpool supporter on top of it.
Nice. We've just actually launched in Liverpool, so I hadn't really spent much time in Liverpool. We got sort of, while we're national, we've got like city by city approaches. We just did a sort of launch party in Liverpool, spent 3 days there, and I mean, it's a beast, isn't it? It's like, you can definitely see why it's the music city, but like...
Where was the launch at?
We had it at Red Door, which was actually our first customer in Liverpool, and I think we started working with them in 2022, and we've now got a lot of venues there, but and I think about 800 artists in Liverpool alone. But I mean, just the bar scene for music is just absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And actually, going back to the Beatles, in a previous life when I was still trying to make it as an actor, I actually auditioned for the part of George Harrison.
Amazing.
In the Beatles musical.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, didn't get it, which was a reoccurring theme for my acting career, but it was there.
So in your band, were you the singer? Did you sing? Do you sing?
I do sing a little bit,
Oh, wow, amazing.
Yeah. But I was play bass, play guitar, and but apparently don't play the guitar well enough, which is why I didn't get the part, which I was gutted about. I thought I could live with it being my acting, but not my guitar playing. So I thought it was really
that's
good.
a real, dig in the gut.
Yeah. Future.
Mm-hmm. Future Rama. future.
Great show. I mean, the future.
Back to the future.
We're very heads down. So bringing it back to
What we're supposed to be
future.
talking about.
The future. I mean, obviously, very excited for what the future is. But we joke about it at the moment. We've been in a sort of 2-year growth stage of building our technology platform and then building it out to actually do what it says, which is find artists work. But we've been so heads down that we actually haven't we're like in the day-to-day so heavy that actually the future is something that we don't have time necessarily to think too far ahead.
Yeah.
We've got to take it day by day.
Yeah.
Because it moves so quick. But I'm very excited for what the future holds for us.
Yeah, I know that feeling, because obviously we started Reform and you kind of a bit that DIY or die, you doing every job under the sun. And, I think that one of the things we used to struggle with was getting out of ops and kind of looking strategically ahead, because when you kind of stay in ops and you have to do it, it's a vicious cycle. You're constantly kind of hitting burnout because the next thing comes along and then the next thing comes along. And for us, we were in burnout for quite a long time, really setting up a business. And I think obviously now we've got this most fantastic team that do everything at an expert level within their own fields as well. But yeah, it's an area kind of for the future. We're looking, even tomorrow we're having a meeting about our business plan and understanding how that business plan actually works for us. So rather than it just being this thing that we have to do, figuring out how as a team we can all take responsibility for those outcomes.
Yeah, I mean, we're the same, very much the founding team are still very hands-on in the day-to-day. But actually, I think we're now reaching this point where we've just got the most incredible team around us. And we got some really good advice, which was, get the right people on the bus before you worry about the destination. And we've now got the right people on the bus. We definitely got to that stage where it's not really ours anymore.
It belongs to everyone else.
Everyone.
Yeah.
And, we've got 1,500 venues using the platform, 7,000 artists. It's
the community.
We're stewards of it almost.
Exactly.
And actually learning to trust our teams and actually we've just surrounded ourselves with way better people than us.
Yeah.
So I am actually now excited about the future.
Yeah.
And, there's no egos in our business. That's sort of like our mantra.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same with us. We're a community interest company. So that means as type of a business model, you can't actually sell the business. So for us, it will be what is the succession for me, Rach and Sam, and who will be the CEOs and how will we hand that over. For us, obviously, we're really interested in kind of that diversity in leadership as well, and how we encourage leadership coming through maybe people from projects that might have considered themselves not leaders or see themselves doing that. I think that's a real kind of area of interest for us. Again, not setting people up for failure, a long period of time, training. We need to systemize some of the things we do. We're still in that process now.
Which is good to hear that you're still in that process.
Yeah, writing it down.
11 years in.
Yeah. So
so we're
COVID and a venue change. There's always something that puts off, and then everything changes again. But there is a bit of for us, that growth on growth year. We're trying to kind of keep still for a couple of years so we can actually write down what it is we do. And
which is really important, that sort of repeatable playbook.
Yes.
The values of what you're creating, which is like that legacy piece, I think, of what you've definitely created. And the future.
I know, scary stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you, DJ Jampot.
Thank you.
Really excited about the future of your DJ career. And I'm
inspired by it. It's reignited the want again. That'll continue for another 3 years.
So thanks to the listeners of our first Pigcast.
An honour.
Yeah, you can find GigPig on Instagram, Facebook, all the normal social media channels, and sign up on the website if it's something that you think could support you in your journey. Is there anything you'd like to plug, Jemma, while you're on the Pigcast?
If you want to listen to Reform, you can listen through your smart speaker on DAB in Greater Manchester, or at our website, reformradio.co.uk. Follow us on socials, subscribe to our newsletter, and you'll find out everything else there.
Great. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Kit.
Thank you, Gemma.